The San Francisco Giants fired Farhan Zaidi, their president of baseball operations, who has been an abject failure. 5 out of 6 years. Bad teams, no playoffs. They had that great year where they won the division, won 107 games. When are teams going to realize that hiring someone who is brilliant, analytic, but couldn't manage their way out of a corn maze off season? Buster Posey, 3-time world champion. Buster Posey, who we talked about as having got involved in the Matt Chapman signing by dealing with Scott Boras. Yippee-ki-yay. Boy, that really makes you able to run an operations department. Buster Posey named president of baseball operations. I am in shock. Here's why. To be the president of baseball operations is to run a business. There is no difference between Derek Jeter and Buster Posey, other than Buster Posey is likely way smarter than Derek Jeter. Other than Derek Jeter did not work nearly as hard as Buster Posey will work. But the skill set required to be the president of baseball operations, you've got to deal with people, HR. You've got to deal with accounts payable, accounts receivable. You've got to deal with budgets. You've got to deal with scouting, player development, analytics, the major league team. It is a huge job that is incredibly difficult. In many ways, it's harder than being the president of the team because the president of baseball operations is a direct report like the head of sales, the head of marketing, the CFO, the COO. There are direct reports that a president has. The president of baseball operations also has direct reports, but the technical things that are needed, understanding the rules of baseball, understanding roster management, the technicalities of roster management. That's just a tiny percentage of what it is to be president of baseball ops, which is another word for GM. When you hire a GM with limited experience, you've got to have an experienced AGM. The Giants have to have someone working with Buster who Buster trusts, who can help him with the operation of the business, understanding the deadlines of roster management, the mechanics of roster management. The risk in hiring a legend to run your team, I guess Dan Marino still is a legend in Miami, so it can be done, Coca. You can hire your legend, fire your legend, and everything can end up okay. But the decision by Greg Johnson, who's the chairman of the San Francisco Giants, was just very interesting to me because the way he said it is that he's excited. He announced Farhan's being fired and then said, I'm excited to share that Buster Posey will now take on a greater role. We're looking for someone who can define, direct, and lead this franchise's baseball philosophy, and we feel Buster's the perfect fit. He's got the demeanor, intelligence, and drive to do the job. Here's the problem, Greg. You're describing an outstanding special assistant to the president or to the owner. Defining, directing, and leading the baseball philosophy is merely part of what Buster Posey will have to do. And he's going to wake up in a month and say, OMG, this is MISERABLE. I don't need this. It is shocking to me that he's hired. In the release, buried. We are also fully committed to following the Selig rule. Well, we just hired a white guy without interviewing anybody, but I digress. The Selig rule is you have to consider minority candidates. We are fully committed to following the Selig rule and ensuring diversity in our hiring. For any of our open positions. Not exactly what Bud Selig had in mind, not what Rob Manfred had in mind, not what Mike Hill has in mind. Because does that mean he's automatically hiring a minority? Automatically. Has to. in order to somehow fulfill a rule that calls for the true consideration of many candidates. Greg Johnson didn't consider anybody else except Buster Posey. This ends badly definitionally.